You are listening to Bootstrap Farmer Radio.
Hey everybody, it's Nick and Brandon, and we have special guest Stephen Jones from Beaufort County Organics, and we are one day away from opening Brandon's Craven Local Food Market in Ernle, which is just outside of New Bern, North Carolina. And we've been working over there today, and we happen to have one of the co-people in Brandon's hub here, so we wanted to grab him while we could and just kind of give an update. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, thanks for having us, recording us, being host again. We have Stephen Jones of Beaufort County Organics, and he's one of the people that are supporting the start of this little cafe that we're doing. And he's got mushroom kits, and actually met only a couple months ago, and we found a cool little network of people. Titus is definitely one of them, and what I found through meeting these farmers is everyone's got a different specialty. Or in Stephen's case, when I first met him, he only mentioned that he kind of wanted to test out mushrooms, and I thought that was awesome, and no one else was really doing it. And so, even before this business was even really anywhere close.
Talking about doing it in this area.
Yeah, and I'm just taking notes when I meet people. Oh, this guy, he wants to do mushrooms. This guy, they do sturgeon over here. This guy, he does leafy greens really well. And so I knew there was pieces that could potentially work together. And so, not to overcomplicate it, but when we had the retail shop available to us, I was like, I want this guy's mushrooms in here because I like them. I want to learn about them. And when people come into the retail shop, there's more value for them when they come for a visit. And so, not to get too deep into the cafe, but we have ice cream, tacos, stuff like that. So there's going to be kids there. And what a great way to teach people about farming. They're going to see those mushrooms and they're going to ask questions. And so, we recorded that video earlier of Stephen talking, explaining things. And it's going to be a cool little mix of retail, just ice cream, making kids happy, but also educating them and showing them where their food comes from in a way.
Well, I bet there's going to be a lot of adults that's never seen mushrooms growing either. So.
For sure. I'm really happy to have Stephen here and involved, and we're both just kind of starting small. We just want to start this whole thing small and be flexible, so I'll let him start talking now. And Stephen, why don't you kind of just say hello to the people, tell us, the name of your company, how it got started, and kind of what you're growing overall.
Right, so I'm 24. I've done a lot of business management prior to this, and my family had a bunch of land. I was the only child. My older grandparents and great-grandparents are starting to die off. My grandfather's dead. I'm the only child to inherit all the land that we have. We rent out conventional farmland to conventional agriculture, and I was able to kind of see what it was being done to the land, not to mention we own forestry acreage that would be, if I sold it off, it would basically be gone and gotten rid of by Weyerhaeuser and planted by deciduous forest and not hardwood forest. So I own one of the only acreages of hardwood forest in the county too. That hasn't been touched in a long time.
Yeah.
So that was, and I grew up growing around, running around logs, running around the woods, and growing up around mushrooms. And I had no interest in gardening, didn't care that my folks gardened, didn't care that, I hated it that I grew up in it, you know what I mean? I hated the farm life, so I moved out to the city, and I got me a big manufacturing job, and nice cars, got all the money, and made real good money when I was 19. I was like, this is not how life should be lived. This is a schedule, a regimen. I have all this money, and I can't spend it. I can't be happy. I can't, it doesn't do me anything, you know what I mean? And then everyone pushes you as a child to say, oh, you got to go to college, you got to make big money, you got to do this, you got to do this. And you'll get to 30 or 40, and I think a lot of kids my age will realize that that's not how you get happy. That's just how you live. And you should be able to find a medium place between happy and a good lifestyle and money should not be the focus there. But not to get off point on life values, but the whole goal behind the farm was to be able to stay at home with my folks, and to be able to make profit off the land that we were doing and take care of it, because I said, we were renting it out to conventional agriculture, which is not good for the land, like Roundup Ready soybeans and things like that. So unfortunately, now that I know contextually what it takes to manage the land, I don't know if I'll ever make it to actually rent and like not rent out all the land, because then it comes into maintaining it and things like that. And I don't know if I would ever be able to take care of 15 acres by one person with no tractor. You know what I mean? We do the urban farm, even though we're not urban. Anything that's 30 days or less in the ground, 30-inch beds, 50-foot wide. I mean, we do the Curtis Stone playbook pretty much by and by, and I'm sure everyone here has heard that in the podcast world. I originally wanted to start this adventure through mushrooms, and mushrooms were a very hard sell. I enjoyed mushrooms, and I found this really, really big mushroom called Ganoderma appellatum. So it's a perennial. Most mushrooms have a very short lifespan. So this mushroom basically took it to where this mushroom goes a little bit every year and it gets really big. So when I found this mushroom, I dated it. It dates like a tree, you know what I mean? You can kind of averagely date it. It was like 7 years. So this had gone before I'd gone back, and this mushroom had been there. And I mean, this thing was well over the size of my torso. I'd never seen anything like it. And then that got me kind of curious, and I looked it up and I identified it, and it was like, okay, well, it has medicinal properties. It can have some autoimmune properties. And I had a friend that had autoimmune disease problems. And then we gave it to him, and he's like, well, I got a little bit of benefit of it. Like, it would be worth it to take it and go seek it out just to get a little bit of benefit. It's just not curing, but it's a benefit.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, this is kind of powerful, you know what I mean? So I did everything I could. I just walked in the woods every day. I picked the mushrooms, and I went and identified it, and just self-teaching, you know what I mean? And when I got to that, I started doing kits and growing my own things and hobbies like that. And it kind of hit me like I could really make money off of this. Like this could be something that could be really, really done. But it was the same problem as that I was a teenager with the terrible food habits and the fast food eating and all that, and I did not like mushrooms. Like, I couldn't come to somebody and sell them and be like, you gotta buy this product, even though I don't eat this product. And it's still like that. It's terrible. Like, I have to come, like, you can't just fry everything you eat and then eat it. You know what I mean? You gotta have a delicious way and an interesting way to eat it, because a lot of the times I can't eat half of what I grow because I'm a picky eater. Which then that's just kind of getting up and over it and then growing old a little bit and saying, hey, I gotta eat what I do. I always eat everything I do, but I don't eat it in mass portions. How about that?
I think that's just being honest too. You know, like,
yeah, and there's just stuff that
growing-
I don't like. Like, I love growing it, but there's just stuff that is just so nasty. I don't see how people eat it. Like I'll tell people with arugula at the farmer's market, like, it's you either love it or you hate it. I was like, it's like a peppery peanut. And then half the time people come back and it's like, oh, I loved it. I'm buying 2 bags from you for the next year. You know what I mean? Every Saturday. And then people are like, how dare you sell that to me? You know what I mean? That wasn't a green at all. I was expecting lettuce. And it's just back and forth, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was whatever about contextually makes money. Like, there's a lot of things that's fun to grow, but they don't make money. And that's another thing that I've learned, that you got to drop a lot of values on a lot of what you want to do. Like mushrooms. Like, I started gardening, and I had zero clue what I had gardening, but I had a 15 by 15 greenhouse. I had PVC irrigation at pour outlets all the way down, like my whole 1.5 acre length estate. We had a pack house, we had a bunch of pole barns, we had tillers, we had hand tools. Like, everything was there pretty much for me to just start. And all I had to do, like, we owned the land, we owned everything. I was wanting to do the mushroom thing, and then I stumbled upon Curtis's movement that he kind of does. And I was like, I'm literally crazy for not doing this. Like, I have almost 40 grand in Upstart that I would have to pay for new, that's not required, but it would save me the effort and motivation. And so we took we're no debt, we're debt free, small owned farm. We started the farm with actually my cousin that I had gotten a job at the time, and he wanted to do a farm. But we're not together now because he wanted to do the southern agriculture model, like the corn, the string beans, the potatoes, the tomatoes, the collards, you know what I mean? And that with that comes a lot of work, and on very, very low profits with that. It's more of like the lifestyle that you want and the kind of like southern growing. But I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to do anything that demanded a high price point per pound, was profitable. I wanted to not have my name up in lights, but have my business name up in lights. I wanted to be fancy, featured in nice fancy restaurants. I wanted to be able to have a reason to go for my product and to have a reason to value something. You know what I mean?
You
Instead
can
of
do
saying,
that if you can stand out instead of being one of 100 southern growers.
Exactly. So, and that's what I tell everybody. I was like, don't try and be that collard producer that sells a trash bag of collards for £3. Like, grow something that you can't go to the grocery store. Be unique. Be you. You know what I mean? Make sure that you have a niche in the thing, and don't don't compete in an oversaturated market already. And that's what everyone is down here doing. Is you spent 40 years growing tomatoes and okra and corn, and everyone does it, and you can give the stuff away for like 50 cents a pound almost.
When it's in peak season, I mean, everyone has it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in main season, like the prices don't change. Like a lot of people think prices fluctuate, and the only reason mine fluctuate is because I make them fluctuate. But and not even to mention it markets the buyers and resellers. Like there's a big thing that I won't even say anything about that. But like me and the other guy that are producers and are really skimming by, grow all of our own stuff, and half the markets here don't even require that you say that you do it. Like if you say, "Hey, did you grow this?" Like, "Yeah, we got it right in our field." And you can go to their field and they got a walk-in cooler and nothing but soybeans around them, but they sell everything. You know what I mean? Peas, peppers, corn, and you just can't compete with that. Especially when the farmers market person goes up and asks them, "Did you grow this?" Like, "Yeah, we grew everything. It's seasonal," and they've got South Carolina peaches right now. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I can't be the bad guy and say something about it, but it's kind of like, man, that kind of sucks. We can't be the bad guy, but we're also the underdog in this situation. But you're just stuck. You can't do anything. So you gotta kind of fight out the wholesaler kind of mindset, and you gotta say that I'm better than them. My quality is gonna be better than them. I'm gonna have a better reason to not have to go to Walmart or Food Line or anything like that. And then I've got to also be better than the buyers and resellers because now you take the local aspect out of it. Some people go to the farmers market to support local, and then when you have people that support local, they have the same mindset that just because you didn't grow it, I'm still supporting you, and then that kind of inhibits their mindset that, hey, I'm doing the right thing, kind of deal. A mindset of like eating healthy too.
But it seems like this has forced you to be more creative and forced you to really focus on that niche product. Now you have that awareness anyway. So yeah. But I think we're better for it, right?
I agree. I agree a lot. It definitely takes it to where you have to market and brand yourself. You're no longer just a backyard garden farm. You know what I mean? You're somebody. You're trying to make a business and you're trying to make a name for yourself. To where your other competition is just trying to make $150. Like that's the difference that I like to point out. A lot of people is the goals contextually are a lot different, and the only reason that I'm sitting under is because I've just started. Like our farm is less than a year and a half, maybe. I think I got a year and 5 months, and the end of this year might be a year and 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to count dates, but
and I like the way that you focused inward. These people are doing this. I don't necessarily agree with it, but instead, what can I do to be better? Not how can I go on Facebook and bitch with everybody else on another forum.
Good.
You chose to take a positive light on the situation and make it your own.
Right.
Which is part of minding your own business. As far as I'm concerned, you just plugged ahead.
Yeah, and I'm just a big no drama person. Like if it's got drama, like anything, it doesn't business, relationships, anything. If it's got drama, I'm out. Like I don't have time for it. I'm a busy man. I just don't want to deal with drama. There's no point for drama. If there's drama, it should be able to settle that within 20 minutes. Like and another thing is I don't debate with people. Like you can sit down for hours and hours and debate with people. And then the one thing you got to say is what one fact would change your mind? And then they say, this is the fact. And then I said, then you display the fact and they say, oh, no, that's fake. That's Photoshop. And we're done talking. You know what I mean? If you've given me the fact that you got, and then after that, I stopped debating because people don't want to change their mind. And if you do, then you can have an intelligent conversation with someone.
It gets tricky trying to change someone's mind by blunt force. It just doesn't work. It almost sounds like you have to trick people. Like, again, to bring it back to the cafe, it's like we're not going to just yell in people's face, hey, this is all locally grown, grass-fed, humane, because, it's not the top of the people's priority list, but it matters to us. Mm-hmm. And so when we source our products, we're letting people know because the people that do care are going to come. And then just because we're there providing such a good service and a good atmosphere, good culture, those people will still come too. And then, again, seeing your mushrooms, learning a little bit more. Because it's so easy to ignore this is like how the system works.
It is. And
so if we can get people involved in the system in such a small way, bringing home a mushroom kit, that is super cool, and that's something that hasn't been in people's houses ever.
Right.
I pretty much bet that. And so that's a small change and that's a small impact. And again, we don't do it by arguing with each other or calling people out. We do it by providing a good service. And again, I think, with the labeling thing, people look at organic and all natural. It doesn't mean anything, right? So what do people do? they start creating their own labels, which means something to them, like certified naturally grown.
Yeah,
That means something to me and you, and it means
Right.
something to the people that know, right? So I'm looking at this whole thing, and at this point, I'm more worried about building a strong network and propping up the people that I think are doing it right. And that's why you're part of this thing. I got you involved because I see how you grow. You're probably the smartest person when it comes to plant science that I know around here or I've met. Titus, extremely good, extremely smart. Yeah, Kate and Joe. I mean, this is a network of farmers that all can do very unique things. But the other people are going to do what they do. And if we're all doing our job, that synergy is what I'm trying to do here. And together and through this podcast, recording this, hopefully there'll be some kind of timeline. And if we can share a story that inspires another group, maybe in South Carolina or Texas or Iowa. And now we all have a commercial kitchen. We all have access to a commercial kitchen. Right. Now our product lines have expanded exponentially.
And thank you for the compliment too, because I've got no horticultural background. It's all internet. I tell somebody if you've got internet, you've got the world at your hands. Right. You can learn anything. There's no excuse. Drop the college. Drop the idea of all that.
But you got to look at more like 2 or 3 websites.
Yeah. Well, yeah. People need to realize that if you're not going to go to college, like you have to put in hours. Like when I get done at the end of the day and it's 8:00 at night, I spend the next 2 hours winding down, watching videos of different farmers, different podcasts. You can watch a whole hour podcast, and there's stuff that's just 2 minutes long that I watched that has saved me hundreds of hours of labor just because I've watched the podcast. And it's so informational. And that's not even saying this podcast, that's just anyone's, you know what I mean? Anyone's informational videos, tutorials of any field too. Because so my farm does like the microgreens, we do the Curtis Bookstone label, we follow people like Myers mushrooms and other things like that. What the fungus from Canada, they do like outdoor seasonal stuff, and then they do indoor. And I kind of want to go in between with that. You know what I mean? I wanted to be a very small, diversified farm because when I started this, everyone says, "Oh, well, scaling is the way to do it. Scaling is the way to get big," and that's not really the way to get big. And in this context, really.
Yeah, and again, you gotta really want it, you know. Like
you do.
When it's 8:00 at night and you just want to watch Game of Thrones. I mean, me and you, we don't do that, you know.
Yeah,
and the people that I see around me, they're not doing that, and so there's a difference between the people that are willing to do that. And I know you didn't have a bunch of horticulture experience, and I know you're figuring some things out. But what I believe in more than anything else, and what I've learned in my short time being in business, is people are everything. And having the right people is step number 1 and way above everything else, because I know you work hard and you do well and you're dedicated. And so there's so much less to worry about. It's like, is this guy going to make his deliveries?
Right.
It's like, no, it's just,
you just don't have to worry.
I sleep well at night and I can focus on what needs to be done instead of putting out fires.
Right, exactly. Yeah, a big team is crucial behind anything. Yeah. Like any operation I run, even besides this business and manufacturing, is if you don't have a good team behind you, your boss man is nothing without a good team. Your business is nothing without the team to run it behind it. And I think it's crucial to include the team on the daily businesses, you know what I mean? Include them in the goals of the business, sit down and have the goals and say, this is what we're working towards. This is where I want us to be as a company, as an employee-owned company or something like that. And I'm a big promotion of like livable wage and all that, but that is hard because I have an employee right now that makes more than me, you know what I mean? He's a good buddy, but he still makes more than me. But it's just about that. Like I want to, like our growing season stops for 2 months, maybe. It just kind of stalls. It doesn't stop because we don't get really hard freezes here. But even then, like I still want to be able to work him 30, 36, 40 hours a week, you know what I mean? And still be able to pay him a livable wage and not have to go off and do another type of work, which is really complicated. And you've
got a lot invested in this guy. If he goes off and didn't come back, you got to start all over.
Yeah, well, this guy's kind of got like an underlying term. So I used to run a quality control business. That was a contractor for GMC and Chevrolet end of line, just big contracts. But I went to school with this guy. He's like my 5th grade friend. He worked for me for like 2 years during that. And he ran like my afternoon shift, and I could always trust him. Everything was right. And it's the same way. He doesn't have a clue what's going on, but he says, I'm here, I'm ready to learn, and I'm ready to make some money. You know what I mean? Like it's dedication. And there's weeks, like I can give him a shout out. There's weeks like last week that he worked and says, I'll work for free this week. Don't worry about it. Like I got you. And I was like, okay, well, I got you next week. Don't worry about it. And it's nice to have that because I would never be able to have that with any other
I
place.
just paid a guy in tacos an hour ago coming to look at our oven, and thank God you have good people that are willing to do that.
Yeah, because I would say without the support, even from you with the free trays, like and the little bit of promotional product, like that got me off the ground enough to go and buy 60 more trays to do it, and then now we gross like $400 a week off just microgreens, like which is pretty exciting. That's not doing any restaurants at all either. Like I'm terrible about like managing restaurants because I'm scared of the commitment. If I go into a business relationship, I want to be able to be there, supply, and it be 5-star quality and never drop a dot from that. And I want them to be able to post on their Facebook page and says, hey, our competition needs these microgreens because this is serious. You know what I mean? Like I want the competition to be referring competition, even though it doesn't work that way. It works that way.
Well, let's dive a little deeper into business relationships. Brandon is building a hub of farmers to do something pretty unique. You have a commissary, you're going to have the delivery service, the food truck is part of the equation, and it's multiple farmers kind of coming in and, they're all spokes to this one location. As Stephen, somebody that is one of those spokes, what was the initial reaction of being a part of something like this? Because I can see some people going, well, I don't want to give up a certain percentage of my profits to go be a part of this other guy's business. What made you decide that this was going to be worth it for you?
Honestly, it was mainly the support that I got from Brandon before it even became a business relationship. So he mentioned Titus, and I met Titus at a farmer's market that we were just kind of casually doing, you know what I mean? And then Titus gave me some pea microgreens to try out. So I started growing pea microgreens because I like their shelf life. You know what I mean? This is like a roll and tumbling thing down here, but this is kind of how this works. So I met Titus and I hang out a little bit with Titus, and Titus says, well, you know a lot about cannabis and hemp growing and stuff like this, and there's a hemp farm out here, and he says, I want you to see this. And then Brandon wound up going to the same gig, and then I met Brandon. I had no clue. I was just there talking, just spreading education like that, and I think I was talking about mushrooms and space and a few other things like that. And I saw like the glimmer in Brandon's eye, and I was like, well, but I had no clue who you were. I thought you were just a casual person that had no interest in the market, you know what I mean? I didn't...
He's pretty casual in general.
Yeah, I didn't know he owned a big company. I didn't know that our two categories of business even intertwined together, and I was just kind of shooting the shit with him, you know what I mean? And I was getting to be consultant for the CBD farm, but they didn't really want to spend the money, and of course I understand that budget is everything. But that's how I wound up meeting Brandon, and then it kind of expanded from there, and I came to buy some trays locally, and then I got a few trays, and I was like, wow, these are great. These are everything they talk up to be. Like I even got one or two that were chipped on the corner, and I still use them every day. Like it doesn't make anything difference, and I've tried to break the trays. They don't break. They don't break at all. So like when I wash all my trays, like we power wash everything, because that's what one thing no one wants to tell you is like, oh, it's beauty work running the cedar and prepping the beds, and everyone loves that. But how about washing 40 totes a week? How about washing 67 flats or microgreens a week? How about let's talk about that and the infrastructure it takes to do that.
What about the deep water guys that are having to pressure wash dozens and dozens of beaver rafts a week? It's a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just, these are dirty things that you don't think about doing when you do this. And when you start and you're like, wow, I really hate my job. And fortunately, I pay my employee to do that. And I break with them sometimes, but I was like, hey man, you're getting the totes this week. I'm sorry. Or you're getting the sifted soil. Like there's just stuff that you can't rush, you know what I mean? That's just not pretty jobs. And there's a lot of things that I wish that somebody said this, like, hey, this is what you're going to be doing, you know what I mean, for a thing. And I might have been like, maybe we should do mushrooms first instead
I
of
hope you like wet feet.
I actually garden barefoot all the time, like barefoot or sandals. I regret it a lot when I get in fire ants, but other than that, like I really enjoy it. Shoes are not my thing. Like and that entitles me. Like I hated wearing shoes 12 hours a day and then coming home and then having to get like socks. Like I just hate it. I grew up walking on rocks and grass, and I had really calloused over feet, so none of that bothered me at all.
I think when I first mentioned it to you, I guess it was just at the farmer's market. I got this retail spot.
Yeah, I think you had your vegetable truck or something there, and I think we had mentioned, but I had a lot of prior stuff involved with you, like buying the trays and getting the product, and like the biggest problem is like I couldn't find a product, and it was so nice to have a product locally that I could just go and get, you know what I mean, and bring back to you. So and that's what kind of started the relationship. It was just local convenience, and it was good product. I know I could just get it at a price to where I could meet the man that made it. He could tell me what's wrong, and if I had any problems, I could go right to the man and not have any problems either.
Yeah, I think I met everyone through the trays, except for Titus and Angela. I met Angela through a Bootstrap outreach, but other than that, yeah, Kate and Joe came looking for trays. I think you found me or found out who I was through the trays, and then it was
Right.
yeah. I mean, I always had this idea that I was going to do something with vegetable and expand it more. So when I saw like a young farmer and like again everybody included, I'm like I'm keeping tabs on all these people. I'm figuring out what they're good at, and it's just sort of like building the circuit board, in my head of how that all works. So just kind of like circling back, like how I asked you to come into the retail spot. I think we don't have it completely figured out yet. We're even kind of talking today how it's going to work, and we're about to open tomorrow. Just again, how we wing it and figure things out on the fly because it's kind of necessary sometimes. But
When you can do that, when you got people you can trust.
yeah, exactly. I know I got the right people, and we're all going to work together and figure it out. And so far, the whole time we've done that. So, you're bringing in the mushroom kits. You have your price. I'm just going to mark them at what I need to mark them at. And so we'll see how they do. And we feel like we're going to be able to build an efficient system. If you're coming in and doing deliveries for our subscription service, you're already there, maintenance and
Right.
get. We love your greens, and so we already talked about the possibility of having a cooler to sell your greens out of. And for me, it's easy because if we have the base of the subscriptions, that's all I really need is the commercial kitchen,
Right.
and to have access to a cooler of greens.
Right.
Right there.
But it's still retail, so you can just keep
yeah, and
inventory.
it's like, well, let me buy them at this price, and then we'll sell them at that price. Like, there's a 100 ways to work it out, really.
Right.
But it kind of promotes everybody. And what I'd like to really ultimately do is allow all these different farmers to lean into little things that they want to try out and have this be sort of an experimentation board. So, ferments, mushrooms, like we could all do it within this retail. And as long as we have the backbone of subscriptions, we really have the freedom to do that. And so here's this platform. And that's, I think, really gets back to the whole overarching thing of the podcast and our larger goals as a company is to sort of empower farmers to find more ways to build a strong business. And how do you do that? Well, it's not selling all of your tomatoes by the case. I mean, that's, we don't even need to go down that rabbit hole. But
Right.
having access to a commercial kitchen, if you can just take a couple steps in this direction, or you can do a lot more than maybe you thought. Or if your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, all of these situations are coming into play in this place. You just got to be open-minded and willing to. You have to find the right people again. So
Right. And now your stuff is in a brick and mortar and has the potential to be sold there and to be eaten there at the same place. So you've opened up 2 avenues, possibly
Right.
3 with the subscription and food truck. So now as a small farmer, you don't have to have all of this other stuff that's part of the big hub.
Right. So, and a great advantage to me is it makes my stops. Like when I do deliveries per town, if I can get everyone to do the same deliveries, we want the delivery fee because it's sufficient for us and we can afford it like that. And it's the same way with Brandon. If I can funnel all my sales outlets into one place, and the thing that I'm really limited to right now is people call me all the time during the week is I'm geographically isolated from everyone. I'm like 35 minutes minimum between a major town of where I am. So for someone to call me and say, hey, I need $5 in microgreens on a Thursday, doesn't really work because they have to drive an hour to get it, you know what I mean? So I'm only locally available on Saturdays 1 day a week, and if anyone wants anything other than that, they're just SOL because the cost and gas that it would take would just be too much. This kind of gives me like the middle in-between ground to where I can say, hey, I'm going here and I'm stocking the mushroom kits already. You're already buying fruit from me. I can already stock a case in case you need any food. This requires me not to have to come back out if you need anything or run out of anything extra. I can stock coolers, and if they sell, it's a low waste, low risk, and which is great for a small farmer like me because I like to do debt-free, not having to worry about anything, and anything that's just low risk, that even if it doesn't work out, then I could just simply walk away with anything invested in labor. But I have pretty high hopes for everything.
But we could all start small.
And if your people go to Craven Local Food Market for your stuff and get exposed
Exactly.
to 3 or 4 other farmers, what's that going to mean for the whole community of farms that you've built around here?
Right. And I feel like I'd like to within Craven County setting our own organic standard. Like, this is the network that we deal with. When you come have our food, you're in our subscription. These are the people you're dealing with. And that's why Nick's here, to expose and to create, some promos, get some pictures, like help tell the story of who we are, how we grow,
Right.
to build that transparency.
I had no idea this was Craven County. I just thought it was a great damn name, Craven Local. I didn't know that was the name of the county.
It's like vegetable. It just kind of worked itself
Oh,
out.
shit, that's funny.
It took me a while to get all the puns that he had going on with the names. Because I actually bought a lettuce from the guys that was Craven Veggies here for a little bit, and I wrote Craven, and when I was writing, I was like, Craven. I was like, that's a great pun. I bet they didn't even think of that. They just used it.
Well, earlier we were talking about the Sunshine Tacos, but I didn't realize that was the name of the farm of where the meat's coming from. So
Yeah.
Gotta be quick around here, folks. So, all right. Well, Stephen, thanks for being a part of this. This is a lot of fun. It kind of just worked out to be here. I know I told everybody I had a big announcement. A couple of things have happened where I'll have to just talk about it later. Everything's in flux. It's a very good flux. So just stay tuned. We're working through some details. I'm going to be in Craven County for at least the next week or so. We're going to be doing a lot of podcasts. It looks like Brandon's going to be coming back to Texas with me, and I'm sure we're going to hit up some spots along the way. So we've got a lot coming down, and there'll be a lot from opening up the food market this week and kind of going through all that, and we'll keep you apprised. And thank you for having me in your home, Brandon.
You're welcome.
All right.
Nice
Nice meeting you, Stephen.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see everybody on Thursday. See ya.
Random rap.
Yeah, thanks, Random Brad, for all the music. I'm very tired. We got done with the market and drove straight here pretty much, and
Going back.
yeah.
Oh, we're not done.
Oh no,
Oh, gosh.
no, it's gonna be a long day. So, all right, guys, thanks, Random Rap. Thanks everybody for paying attention. Talk to you later.